Thank you so much, Worldwide. After all the Rabbie Burns, the Maya Angelou, the Shakespeare, and the Dylan Thomas, and all of this, I just thought it would be right for me to lower the tone a little bit and report back on the election campaign that a great number of people here supported me as candidate for Brexit in the obscure region of Carshalton and Wallington. I just thought it's worth saying that my Apple screen time monitor on this iPhone tells me I'm on it about 13 hours a day, because the self-censorship that just Apple and my iPhone imposes wants me to cut that down. And I think, although that's sad, at the same time, it does reveal how isolated many of us have become and obsessed with the media and watching the news. We're saturated by that in lockdown. And in that circumstance, it's very easy to get individualized, demoralized, and to lose perspective on the real world. So I just thought it'd be worth reporting on the election experience. First of all, it's very difficult to become a candidate. You have to fill out 1 million forms, get some money, reveal your home address, go down to the election officer, who was actually very helpful. And it's a real hassle to become a candidate, let alone to win. Second of all, if any of you are worrying where Carshalton and Wallington is, you're not alone. Is it in London? Is it in Sutton? Why is the healthcare there part of the Epsom and St Helier Trust? Then there's the educational boundaries, the council boundaries, and all of this makes it very difficult to work out exactly who's who and how you can fight for local democracy. That Epsom and St Helier Trust is itself composed of lots of health bureaucrats on £100,000 to £200,000 a year, all of them carrying out a fake consultation about what's a fake brand new hospital at St Helier. And when I tried to speak up against that, I was silenced. And now we find, don't we, that Epsom and St Helier Trust, in whom we trust, is actually responsible for bringing COVID to 37% of mainstream hospital patients in the recent pandemic. So everything we warned about their sclerotic and undemocratic practices has come home to roost. What we found in the election campaign was that the most violent opponents of democracy were the Liberal Democrats. They assaulted myself and my video man, James King, who was great, and they're part of a wider stitch-up throughout the southwest London region by the Tories and by the Lib Dems. And we were also nearly assaulted by Tories, including a family member, for letting Corbyn in. It shows how good they are at forecasting. I spoke to a village hall, not a village hall, a big church, and I was silenced by the vicar. He told me I could not speak anymore unless I promised to be civilized. But the great thing about that was, despite the preponderance of Tory voters in the audience, they howled him down with the phrase, "Let him speak," which I then did. And I want to uphold this optimism about the common people, Tory voters or whoever. When I was told not to distribute leaflets outside Sainsbury's in Wallington, a young 16-year-old told the management, "It's free speech," right away. And he wasn't rehearsing an A-level or anything. He just defended my right to do that. When we got to the doorstep in this obscure borough, we found many self-employed white builders with an SUV in a not quite fixed up courtyard at the front of their buildings. Yes, they read the Daily Mail, but none of them I met were racist. None of them were against independent thought and appraisal of the Brexit situation. They were open to dialogue and they wanted to have more of it. When I met black people on the stump, I have to report many were pro-Brexit and none were concerned with white privilege. I never heard the phrase systemic racism or anything like that. And I want to say, to buoy our spirits, that the democratic impulse is alive and well and living everywhere. And as a worker told me where I live, because I was a carpetbagger in Carshalton and Wallington, I asked him on the eve of the Brexit vote, which way are you going to vote? And he said Brexit. And I said, why? And he said, if we don't shout, they won't listen. I think what I learned through the campaign was an inspiring validation and vindication of the existence of the yearning for freedom. The defense of the right for independent thought was right there out on the doorstep. And let me just say, I heard it from an old guy who's now dead, who was an inspiration to me, Dave Holsworth, which some people will know. You know what he said? Wherever there is oppression, there will be resistance. Let's not forget that in the years to come.